Hi, welcome to SEO Hangouts with Josh Bachynski. That would be me, and Spock. It is not logical, Captain, to do SEO. Today, I have some interesting leaks, not from John Mueller or Google, or any current Google employee. In fact, I have interesting leaks from Marcus Toba, whom I like, who's the CEO of Search Metrics, who's a German company. That's why I give my fake Arnie accent whenever I say Marcus Tober. Search Metrics put out their 2014 ranking at a glance infographic, and I like to go over the highlights of that with you. And also Philly Weiss, an ex-Google employee who's now turned SEO, did a Reddit Ask Me Anything, and answered some questions, went as far as he could without breaking his NDA. So he said some interesting stuff there. So let's get right to that. So, as I said, Search Metrics on September 8th put out their 2014 ranking at a glance infographic and a complete study, actually. It's very interesting. You should check it out. I'm just going to go over kind of the highlights, the top things and the bottom things. And so the top things really seem to be click-through rate, had a much higher correlation to rankings than everything else, and then having the relevant terms in your text, in your pages, having multiple pages, and then things like social shares, Google shares, Facebook shares, Pinterest shares, tweets, Facebook likes, stuff like that. That had the majority, and then finally, of course, the majority of backlinks. That had the majority of the high ranking signals. And other stuff like this seemed to play a factor. So, for example, in terms of content, they said, and this is directly from the site, they said that high quality, relevant content ranks better on average and is identifiable. So what makes it high quality and relevant, you ask? They said this: it's identifiable by properties such as comprehensive wording in regard to the co-occurrence of related terms in the context. So comprehensive wording, a higher wording, a more sophisticated wording, not just hammering the keyword again and again and again, not ye olde SEO writing, but magazine level writing, where they're talking about it in a comprehensive way. And also, they say a higher word count and media enrichment. So pages that had images and pages that had infographics and videos did better, political cartoons and things like that did better than just straight text pages. So that's interesting, and of course that correlates to a lot of the other SEO leaks I've been getting and a lot of the other information that I've been having that's been coming out. Oh, I'll adjust my camera. There we go. Now you can see Spock a bit better down there. Okay, not only this, but technology. In terms of technology, they said a well-optimized technical performance of a page contributes to a good ranking, such as a robust site architecture and optimal internal linking. So I've been preaching this for a long time, and Google's been preaching this for a long time. If you want to tell Google what pages are important in your site and how to sculpt your page rank, which still matters and still is important, but what Google calls telling them what page is important, you have to give it internal links. So if you have 1,000 pages and your 5 pages you want to rank on the top page, page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then all those 1,000 pages should be extra linking to pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and or you need to limit the links that go to the other pages. So either the top pages have to get more links on your site, or the other pages have to get less, and then you'll say, Josh, well, obviously every page on my site has to get at least one link, otherwise you can't get to it, which I agree. So you could, of course, make a JavaScript on-click so users can get there. You could also no-follow links so that Google knows what the pages are supposed to be. But like a top 5 pages in your sidebar might not be a bad idea to get that internal link juice and really make sure Google understands what your most important pages are and what should be getting all your internal link juice and what are the pages that should be ranking. Now, of course, based on the information we just heard from Search Metrics, you can't just do this in kind of the 2008 SEO way. It has to make sense as to why these pages are getting all your internal link juice. Like if you suddenly sent all your internal link juice to your contact page for whatever reason, Google would likely ignore it because they know what contact page is, they know what all the standard web page types are. Information page, contact page, sign up page, purchase page, shopping cart, search results page, sitemap. They know all these different content types, and they're just not going to choose to rank certain ones of them that are on average boring and not what they want to rank. So if you have to know if you want to rank for a do query or an information query, and a do query or an informational query. So let me, in case you don't remember what that means, a do query is all the queries where you want to do something. You want to buy X, you want to sign up for Y, you want to download Z. As opposed to an informational query where you want to know about topic X, Y, or Z. And then there are no do queries, of course, where you want to learn about it and then you might want to buy it. So you have to, one, think about, are you trying to rank for a do query or a no query? Or a no do query? And then you have to tailor your presentation to satisfy that. So if you're trying to rank for a do query, say I want to rank for buy herbal pills, then obviously they have to be able to buy herbal pills on that page, above 500 pixels, above the fold, the first thing they see with no pop-ups or no ads getting in the way of them doing that thing they want to do. Or if it's a sign-up page, you're going to be able to sign up right away with no other fluff, and it's going to be pretty and fast and gorgeous and works and easy, like the least amount of clicks and least amount of user interaction for them to do that kind of thing. Or, for example, if it's an informational page, they want to learn about Josh's greatest herbal pills. Learn about Joshua, the new herbal pill that will make your shirt as red as possible and make you logical. Then what is Joshua, or there's what is Joshua, or Joshua, or top 5 resources for Joshua, or something like that. Some kind of informational query. Then that page has to inform them. The first thing that happens above the fold is information, the information that they want. I would typically put a top, like a summary, like a bullet list of 5-point summary at the top. Joshua works great. Low cost, no side effects, makes you look like Josh. How could you turn that down? And then paragraphs underneath explaining how that works. Because people are lazy. You got the long reader and the short reader. The short readers are busy. They're lazy. They're too fast. They want to get the information quick and then fine. Then the buy now button should be floating on the right hand side the whole time. So this informational page, which could also be a do page to buy Joshua, right? Should have the buy now button on the right hand side, which will stay there when it scrolls, so that they can always click it. And the right hand side, English left to right readers are going to see it on the right hand side, because psychologically that's how our eyes go. Anyone who's learned to read left to right. But not only that, but they have the information in the main content. The information is the main content, and there's the top 5 things that the short reader can read and go, okay, fine, click buy it. Or if they want to be more convinced, more of a long sales letter, right? Or more information. Don't make the sales letter too spammy, too advertorial. It still has to inform. Because what you don't want is people going, ew, this is too salesy and bouncing. Or this is too slow and bouncing. Or I don't see where I can buy it and bouncing. Or going, oh, I just wanted a top 5 summary. I don't want to read 3,000 words about it because everyone's making now, because some SEO guy said, make it like a 10-page essay. And they're going to go back. You want to try and be all things to all people that are going to come on that information query or that do query, and you make some educated guesses as to what they want based on whether or not it's an informational query or a do query. And so my point is, your top 5 pages have to satisfy those requirements for your particular business as to what you're trying to rank for online and what you're trying to get people to convert and do online, right? So I hope that makes sense. The synergy between what people are searching for, their psychology, being all things to all people, above the fold, in a nice, easy user interface, seamless, pretty, fast way. And that way, it's not too salesy, not too spammy, not going to turn them off. And that way, they get the information that they want, they'll click it, they'll see it there, right above the fold, they'll click it. And if they want more information, they'll scroll down, they'll read more on the buy button, if the buy button is appropriate. Obviously, if that's not appropriate just for an informational page, you don't need a buy button. That could be a share button instead. Here's another thing you need to consider, is that even if you're just trying to rank for informational queries, like think about law, for example. Even lawyers, even plumbers, everyone has to be their own magazine now. This is the way it's been for the last 10 years. But really, you need to be a Forbes and you need to be a Wired magazine. You need to be that level of hip and that level of cool, the New Yorker, that level of quality in terms of the design, in terms of the hipness, in terms of the coolness, or in terms of the quality of the writing. And my point I was trying to get to is this, is that, so even if you're like, say, like a law site, and you're having a law blog, and the lawyer is writing something like, top 5 ways to get out of a DUI or something, I don't know. Or maybe get a better lawyer, I'm not sure, but let's say that's the article, top 5 ways to get, whatever, get out of a DUI, or to do before you call a lawyer for a DUI or something like that. And so they got the article there, and they're not trying to sell anything necessarily, let's say, but there's always a conversion. Every page has a conversion, or every page has to have buy-in or a conversion, right? And so even on the informational pages, if you don't have a buy now button floating there, you should have your social buttons floating there. And it should have some sharing is caring with an arrow, some call to action, just like it's a sale. It is a sale, right? It's the same thing. You should have a call to action there so that they can share it. And it should be one button sharing. They click it once, preferably they click it once, 2 interactions at utter maximum. Do not have one of these social buttons where they're going to mouse over it again. It's hard to use and stupid. Big, childlike, colored buttons so they can click it and, yeah, this is great, go. And it automatically will tweet it, will share it on Google+, will share it on Facebook, or maybe one other one, or maybe email to people or one other one. But email to people might be great for your users, but here's a perfect example of where Google's philosophy and Google's abilities are completely separate. John Mueller just recently, I said there wouldn't be any John Mueller. Damn, I'm sorry. I couldn't get through a single hangout without mentioning my friend John Mueller, my favorite. He did mention, however, in a recent hangout that Google Search would never be using the information from Gmail. They are essentially 2 separate companies. And he was very adamant about that, that they just don't talk to each other. And so it's highly unlikely that if you're, and he said we would not be getting links, scraping Gmail for links to help sites rank. So I speculated in the past that might be a good thing to do. I mean, there's tons of links there. It's a whole data set that they have access to, but he shot that down. He said, no, we would never do that. We are essentially 2 separate companies. It would be a privacy nightmare. We would never do something like that. And not in his like, oh, maybe we do, and I hope they won't notice kind of way. He said it pretty emphatically and pretty like, no, we could never do that. So I'm liable to believe him there. But anyway, so the point is that the evidence seems to suggest that links and email are not going to help. Therefore, in these social buttons that should float on the right-hand side, you might not want to have an email this share button. You might want to have Google, Pinterest, Google, Twitter, Facebook, which I think they can actually read. I have a case study coming out. I'm going to show you that you could probably read it. And then finally, some other social network that's relevant for you. Maybe a forum or Instagram or Pinterest, if it's visual based, or Elo, whatever it's going to be. Now, okay, so that's kind of how you should structure that kind of a thing. Now, we're going back to search metrics list. So here's this technology thing. Again, you want to have the optimal linking structure. So that's pointing to your top pages. And your top pages, of course, have to be made in such a way that it's going to make sense, that this is what you need to rank for. And then once you have your top 5 pages, then you can make more pages, of course. You can change that however you need to change that. And finally, they say in the search metrics report that, of course, you want to have short loading times. Short loading times is very important to make sure that people don't bounce, and they don't get annoyed, and they run away. Okay, now, backlinks. Now, again, backlinks in this order of things for ranking, this is the short list I'm giving you, are very important, and I'll get to the things that are not helping for ranking. Backlinks are still very important. The quantity and quality of the backlinks remains crucial. Backlinks that can be easily ignored, obviously, are not what you want. Backlinks that look like they're spammy, look like they have exact match search phrase anchor text in them, you don't want. You don't want any backlinks on any sites that look like they sell backlinks, that have a lot of exact match search links pointing out to anybody else, most especially your site. Directories you've got to stay away from unless they're moderated and you have to pay to get into them. And even then, if they have like 100 links on a page, you don't want it. At forums, you want to do that sparingly. Less than 40% of your total profile, in my opinion. anywhere. You don't want, so you don't want to, essentially, you don't want to appear like your linking is in 2008. It has to be editorial main content links, which are like, great site, or these guys are good, or so non-match, completely non-match to what you want to rank for, or at the very least, partial match. Like if I want to rank Josh Orr's herbal pills, it should say, these are some great nutraceuticals, or some synonym for herbal pills, right, or something like that. That's what you want. You can, of course, go exact match. I could have, Josh Orr pills, get them here, but you don't want to go anything above 10% of your link profile. And remember, Google's apparently going to be bringing out the next version of Penguin. John Mueller has told us, again, I have to mention, John Mueller has told us in the next few months before 2014 is out, he expects another Penguin to be out. In fact, he told us SEOs in a recent hangout, kind of after hours, he mentioned, guys, get your clients' disavow files in order because Penguin is coming out soon. And they have to crawl that information. And he still maintains that you can use a disavow file for Penguin. I have never personally seen it. Anyone I've ever seen get out of Penguin also had to delete links, and the disavow file was almost secondary and maybe didn't even do anything. It was deleting links did something. I still think it's dangerous for you to go and delete your links, especially delete your links. I still think it's dangerous for you to go and disavow your links. Because you'll never know if you're getting a link. Even if it looks really spammy to you, Google's algorithms may still be counting it towards your ranking. Positively. And so I still think it's too risky. I still think it's foolish. I still think it's negligent and inappropriate to go disavowing your links before you're hit by Penguin. And quite frankly, I still have the Penguin hack and it's still working. Now, so I might be able to fix Penguin for you without even using a disavow file. I might be able to get the sneaky way to get around it. And it's not the 301, and it's not deleting pages. It's not any other tactic you've heard anywhere else. We've kept it very secret, very, very secret. Now, will this change with the next version of Penguin coming out? Who knows, right? They might have caught wind, and they might just put that fix in there. Or they might be telling the truth, and John Mueller might be telling the truth, and finally Google might be telling the truth, that yes, which would be good news for anyone who's had negative SEO, yes, you can just use the disavow file. If you do not want a link to count for yourself, you can throw it in there, and we will take it out of the running, and you won't get hit for Penguin for that. If that is the case, then I might change my tune, and I have to go on the evidence, right? If that's the case, if, capital I, if that is the case, I might change my tune. It would be logical, Captain, for me to change my tune. And say, fine. For the worst case scenarios where it's obviously very spammy or negative SEO, or you don't want those Viagra links and you don't want those child porn links pointing at you, yes, use the disavow tool, because we're 95% certain you weren't getting any bonus out of those links, and we're fairly certain that those links were probably bad and could get you nailed for a Penguin or something like that. So then, and only then, in the most extreme and extremely rare of cases, I would suggest, fine, you can use a disavow file. Because maybe Google is telling the truth, and they might actually help you in that regard when this next Penguin's going to come out. However, 95% of the time, I'm going to say you shouldn't use a disavow file, ignoring manual penalties, ignoring the manual side altogether. For Penguin, and just for whatever other linking algorithms they have, like payday loans, going out there, which hits more than just payday loan sites, by the way. I've seen limousine sites, lawyer sites. I've seen all these other kind of semi-competitive locksmith sites, semi-competitive spammy sites get hit with payday loans as well, which seems to be also a partially linking algorithm. In fact, my studies from last year show that it works exactly like Penguin 2.0 worked. I would say, to sum up this rant, I would say it is logical to only use a disavow file maybe 5% of the time. The rest of the time, I would just hold your breath. Don't make it worse. Don't build spammy links of the type I just mentioned a couple minutes ago. Only earn good links. Only ask for good links. And social shares. You can't get hurt from social shares yet so far in 2014. That's coming, right? If they're using social shares for ranking, that's coming down the road, 2016 or 17. But anyway, You can't get hit for it now. So don't make it worse by getting bad links, but I wouldn't make it worse either by having a knee-jerk reaction or having some shady SEO talk you into having a knee-jerk reaction and putting links in your disavow file. Because 95% of the time, it seems to me that it's more risky than will help. Again, ignoring the manual action versus the site. In case you haven't heard my rant before, the manual action, the partial match manual action, you don't have to do a damn thing about. You do not have to do a damn thing about, nor will it help you. They have already selected the links in your backlink profile that look to them suspect. It does not help for you to take more links and put that on the pile, the burn pile as well. Your rankings will almost certainly, not almost certainly, your rankings will certainly go down because you're adding more links to the pile. Assuming you added enough. Okay, so those rants done. Let's try and finish off the search metrics thing. Okay, the next one was social signals. And then the next one is user signals after that for positive ranking factors. Social signals. Now, this year, the correlation to rankings went down slightly, but I think that, you know, it's such a slight variation that it's not a big deal. I think that the social shares, the Google shares, plus ones on the page really doesn't seem to make that much of a difference in my tests, although search metrics seems to indicate that it makes a big difference. I don't know what they mean on their list when they say plus ones. It could be shares, sharing it to Google Plus, or just plus one-ing. I think, and other SEOs I've talked to, like Terry Van Horn, think that it's more about sharing to Google. It's more about sharing on Facebook than Facebook likes. The shares on Google and Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest, for that matter, seem to make a much bigger difference than just having a +1 button on your page or something like that. And Google has kind of confirmed this as well, that they don't want you to use the +1 button to alter rankings. It was too obvious. You know, I'll just go buy 1,000 +1s. You know, it's too obvious like that. Finally, the biggest ranking factor as far as they're concerned are user signals. And for the first time, they were able to measure user signals, having access to, they said, thousands of Webmaster Tool accounts and thousands of analytics accounts to be able to do a broad, non-data tainted analysis, or so they claimed. Be that as it may, I'm able to confirm from my own experiments and tons of my own experiments and tons of my own SEO experience in the last couple of years that user signals are a huge ranking factor. You deny this at your own risk. Click-through rate is a major factor. Having a lower bounce back to SERP rate is a major factor, so they don't select some other result. And having a good dwell time. You know, I think it's the click-through rate. There's two algorithms that Google's mentioned, the click-through rate algorithm, and then quality algorithms that watch whether they bounce back to the SERP and click on the result. I'm convinced they're using these things. I have lots of Google admissions, lots of things I can't say, lots of experiments I can say that test it, and they're definitely using these things. So, you know, that's not going to take you from page 5 to page 1 alone. That's going to take you from like position 7 to position 2, right? But it is a major factor, and they're definitely using it. Okay, now the question is, what were the low factors, or what were the things that had the lowest results? Well, the things that had the lowest results were very interesting things like this. Keyword and URL, that had a negative correlation. Keyword and domain had an even huger negative correlation. Having AdSense or ad links or advertisements on the page had a much more negative correlation. So that's also very interesting in that, you know, it used to be back in the day that you wanted to get your keyword and URL, and Google knows this. And so now, although I have exact match domains that are currently ranking, and there are spammy affiliate sites too, you have to be exceedingly careful and have to be well above board on those kinds of sites. They always fluctuate. They normally don't come up in the top positive 5 to 1. They're usually in 5 to 10. But if you're ranking on enough of those queries and have enough traffic, you can make enough money. Sometimes you can float them up above, maybe by making sure your click-through rate is as high as possible and no one's bouncing back. But then you have to make absolutely sure that you know, the user loves, and I mean loves, the content, and it's exactly what they want, and they're sharing it. You have to have lots of social proof, social shares, that you are trustworthy site and that people love it, that kind of a thing. Is it possible to black hat this? I don't know. You know, certain things are coming out. Very new age black hat ways are coming out. You might want to watch future videos or ask me if you want more information on those kinds of interesting topics to theoretically, academically discuss. But for the most part, the easiest way to do it, quite frankly, is the white hat way to do it. Is to have awesome content. And I'm sorry, I'm slapping myself for saying that stupid euphemism. That was not logical, Captain. You want to have the best content for that particular user experience on what it is they want, either an information query or a do query. How about I put it that way? Of course, people just say awesome content because it's easier to say than this big long sentence. But that is what you need, right? Specifically, that's what you need. You need to know if you're ranking for an informational query or a do query or a no do query. They want it to be informed first and then possibly buy. And then providing that exactly what they need, above 500 pixels, fast, sexy, pretty, you know, exactly, easy to use, obvious, boneheadedly, big buttons. Okay, do this, you can do this, you can do this. Okay, great, I see it, you know, with no other ads jumping in and crazy hero images and crazy design of the site makes it so they can't tell what the heck is going on. They don't know where to click and they're just getting jammed in the fingers of hate. Those fingers right there. So, you do not want your website to have the fingers of hate, whatever that means, whatever I've been smoking. So, and it's very interesting that, you know, the keywords and the URLs is like a negative correlation to ranking now. And, you know, but shares plus ones, click-through rate, links, and relevant content, number of pages, and user interface and presentation is the main correlation to ranking. So, you know, I predicted it in 2013 that this is what it's going to be like in 2014. You can go back and watch my videos and see that, yes, I predicted this. What do I predict for 2015? For 2015, I'm predicting the entity fabric. That it's going to be much more entity-based. We're going to get much closer to the point where I can pick up my phone and say, okay, Google, show me all the articles written by Josh Bachynski. And it knows what I mean, and it's able to provide those based on the entity fabric. If you want to know more what I mean by the entity fabric, again, this is very interesting academic theoretical concepts, you know, new age SEO that's coming out that, you know, a lot of people would say it's been out for a number of years now, but Google's really starting to get better at implementing it and taking advantage of the schema and text scraping to get entities, and know that Josh Bachynski has a website, The Moral Concept, that he talks on Twitter about SEO and about ethics, and these concepts are related in that sense, and Josh Bachynski fits into that, you know, here. You know, or Spock was a character played by Leonard Nimoy on, you know, Star Trek, the original series, and numerous movies, and also is a director who directed this movie and that movie. You know, they're learning the entity database, and they're able to start ranking things on kind of an entity sense and not just text and links and things like that. Even though that's the base of how they get it. It's like that's the genetics, and then that's the genotype, and then there's the phenotype. You know, there's the body, and that you get the end result of their rankings. Anyway, I hope that all these concepts make sense in some way, shape, or form. So anyway, that's my SEO Hangout for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Tune in next week, where I will thrill and enthrall you with more of these new age SEO, new age black hat, and new age white hat ways of doing SEO. If you have any questions, you can always email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can also follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski, and you can watch more SEO videos like this, where I do SEO experiments and leaks, and occasionally rant versus Google. You know, things like that happen. I also debate with industry-leading SEO specialists, such as Barry Schwartz. You can see Barry and I argue and call each other stupid, and all kind of fun things like that. On my YouTube channel at youtube.com/jbachynski, JBACHYNS. So again, thanks for watching, and good luck at the SERPs.